Oh man, we are in it. We are in winter. We had our first snow last week. But first, happy Veterans Day. Thank you for all those who have served. Have a few family members that I'm proud to call family, and lucky to live in this great country. So happy Veterans Day. Hopefully, if you're off today, you're enjoying it with your family, your kids, or if you're having to work, make sure you're being safe out on those roads, driving to and from work. Now, speaking about being safe, driving to and from work, last week, it is wild the difference between Fort Collins and just south. I mean, just even all across Colorado, because I would say sometimes in Denver, there could be no snow. And in Fort Collins, we've got, a few inches. But this time, Fort Collins, we did get hit, but it was very wet and heavy, but not sticking to the streets or sidewalks. So the roads were relatively safe, just driving slow. But there was no real accumulation. Whereas pictures that I saw in Denver and in eastern Colorado definitely had a fair amount of snow. So we are in it. We are in the winter time period, looking at kind of the 10-day forecast. It looks like we're going to see cooler and cooler weather. We'll have 60s less frequently, 50s a whole lot more frequently as far as our highs go. Let's see here. There was actually 2 different city council meetings last week, so we'll go over both of those. They had an appeal for the Planning and Zoning Commission's hearing on the homeless shelter in North Fort Collins, and then they also had the regular meeting sandwiched between the election. And the regular meeting was to have the first reading of the budget, as well as first reading on new utility rates for 2025, I believe just 2025. And then there was also some improvement districts, government improvement districts for Old Town and then Skyview on the south side of town. But this is live in Fort Collins. We come to you live every Monday at noon. And we talk to you about all things that are happening in Fort Collins, things that have happened, things to do. We break down what happened in city council, and I don't want to miss what I wanted to talk about in city council. I just want to make sure I have that, which I should. Yes, we do. Great. Talk about what happened in city council, if there's any developments that are going on that are worth noting, but we will jump right into it. Let's see here. Fort Collins and Larimer County have a lot of growth to do. And they have these buildings that, are starting to become too small for them. Courthouses, for example, and the additional space that are needed. And there is 2 buildings off North College near the Discovery Center that the city is considering buying for office space. And they've submitted a conceptual plan. The purchase price of this land essentially is $1.7 million at 425 and 429 North College Avenue. And they want to see, what it would take, costs associated with it. Because I will say one of the things that I have really began to, really not even fully comprehend, but understand much, much better is the depth of these development projects. And, these 3 to 4 year timelines from initial concept to breaking ground is crazy. But then you look at it and it's like architect, it's traffic studies, it's water studies, it's natural habitat areas. And then you have time for neighborhood meetings and having to do all the different fire, police services and make changes along the way. So it is just wild going through some of these city packets, especially like when we have the appeal packet that we'll go through we'll discuss for the homeless shelter. But, $1.79 million to essentially set aside for a new municipal building for potential office and meeting space. And I would say when I was running Old Town Square, we had the public defender in our building, and the growth of Fort Collins and the space that's needed and required from some of these businesses, because essentially, like the city, we have a a city staff of 2,400 people. We had John Kaffalis on our podcast, which comes out here this week or next week. I think it's next week. Yeah, possibly. Anyways, and we were talking about all the employees at the county, and as our region and city grows, so does our budget. They were talking about bringing on a full-time employee real estate, full-time employee HVAC technician, and cybersecurity. They're going to outsource that. But really, as we grow as a region and area, so do our employment bases and the need to provide space. So, one of the biggest employers in Fort Collins is City of Fort Collins, as well as Larimer County. So, continually growing, looking for opportunities, and that's one of them. Speaking about growth, King Soopers did submit plans for an East Windsor store, 124,000 square foot store off of 392 and Hollister Lake Road, essentially in the Greenspire neighborhood. And I was talking with a client the other day, and she was asking, because I say, basically Fort Collins is kind of the OG of where do I invest my money. And Fort Collins was a preservation of capital. Fort Collins and like the heart of Old Town, that's ultimately where you're going to see the most preservation of capital. Not necessarily the best return on your investment, but if you're looking purely to protect capital, Fort Collins and the heart of Fort Collins is that. And then you have different tiers. And one of the next municipalities and areas that I look at is Windsor. And she was really curious because she wasn't a huge fan of Windsor as far as a place where you invest. And overall, I think Windsor has great future aspirations. Currently, they're at 42,000 people. Over the next, I think it's 14 or 17 years, they're expected on the low end to grow to 62,000 and on the high end, like 82,000. So the prospects of Windsor are great, are high, good investment opportunity, but there are some functional obsolescence. So like a downtown where it just is a bottleneck and it backs up traffic. And this development from King Soopers kind of suggests that problem, because King Soopers is really not that big of a town to need two King Soopers. But maybe what they're seeing is people in East Windsor, rather than coming to the west side, are going to Costco off of Harmony Road, or they're losing sales tax dollars and they want to retain those sales tax dollars. And King Soopers sees an opportunity clearly with the growth of Severance, all Eaton, all those eastern smaller towns that are growing pretty substantially. And if you can get past that bottleneck, which is downtown, which is where Greenspire is, you could open up the gates to a substantial amount of shopping there. One thing to note here too, feel free to ask any questions, comments, or anything like that as I'm going live, and I will try to answer them live. If not, if you're watching this on rerun, comment below. And as always, like if you've enjoyed this content, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. There's about 75% of you who watch on a regular basis that aren't subscribers, which is totally okay. But, and it's just vanity numbers anyways. So anyways, Fort Collins ballot issues. There was the city sales tax for the extension for 20 years for our roads, which was great to see. I believe the Larimer County, let's see here. Yeah, so the 4 city sales taxes, 44 city ballots passed. 3 of them were charter. 1 of them was the city sales tax. And then the mill levy passed with flying colors. So they're going to get an extra $49 million annually. And here is a breakdown of where that money is going. $22.9 million dedicated to building maintenance, repairs, and replacement. $15 million towards wage and benefit increases. $4 million towards support programming with low enrollment. $4.6 million to PSD authorized charter schools as a proportional share. And then $2.5 million toward instructional materials, equipment, and the replacement cycles. So $49 million extra each year. And actually, that will increase annually with the value of homes if they continue to increase, because it is a mill levy, not a flat $49 million. So if there is an increase in property values, you will see a subsequent increase in that $49 million. So great for Poudre School District. Hopefully they can figure out some of these low enrollment numbers, some of their issues internally with the board of educators and superintendent. I know there is a lot of kind of issues to be going on. All righty. Now that's kind of it. I would say, big thing is we're heading into winter. So make sure that you're prepared. Snow tires or all season tires. If you switch those out, I would get those done right away. Make sure your sprinklers are already blown out. Hopefully that's already happened, but we did have a client last week that was doing it last week, as well as your furnaces service. We just had to drop $1,000 on a furnace because the blower and igniter were having issues. But jumping into what I wanted to, are the two different city council meetings today. So I'm going to share my screen. All right. So here is the site plan for the homeless shelter. It's a 250 bed capacity, 1 and 2 stories, 89-foot setback. There is going to be a fence on this north side. And here's a mobile home park. There's a mobile home park here and a mobile home park here as well. This is going to be an over 43,000 square foot facility. It will be world-class. There was a couple of things on here that I wanted to potentially show, but tons of security camera footage. But there was an appeal. So this was approved through the planning and zoning department. And then there was 2 appellants who submitted saying, hey, this didn't follow through. And a lot of these appeals seem, especially once they get through planning and zoning. Now, don't get me wrong, like there are some that get through and get pushed back. And so it's not an all encompassing, but some of this definitely seems emotionally tied. And this is one of the most emotional, developments that I've seen go through city council. And there was an individual who really had a hard emotional time with this, because I think, Susan Gutowski, she said it best, because I think that they were talking that there was 2 groups of interest, at-risk groups that were a discussion here. The mobile home parks, there's 3 of them that are around here, and their concern of having a 250-bed homeless shelter right across the road from them or adjacent to them. And then as well as the homeless community, there's people who are experiencing homelessness, and this facility could potentially help rehouse them, give them tools and strategies and things of that nature. But then also Susan said there's actually 3. There's the business group that is also kind of at risk. And I would say there's a lot of investment that's been going in North College. And that is something to where a lot of businesses would have a second thought of, do I want, if I have the choice? I'm not saying, because, Fort Collins, everywhere there needs to be, all different classes of citizens need, protection and some more than others. But if you're a business owner and you have the option to put your business in 2 different locations, one across a homeless shelter, it might be world class, it might look beautiful, but regardless, it is a homeless shelter with a certain amount of people coming in and out of that area each day. Or maybe a mile or 2 away, still benefit from the area, but not across the street from the homeless shelter. So I would say it's concerning for some of the businesses there, some of the property owners, but this is essentially, it is moving forward. And by the sounds of it, it'll be here in the next few years. I think right now what they're expecting is like 2 to 3 years for it to be open and operating. There are some overflow shelters, but there's some things that I wanted to talk about with this real fast. And I wanted to show what the picture looks like of how it will look. It's going to have this really long roof line. I mean, it's going to look beautiful. There's I think Bohemian's a part of this, city of Fort Collins, the Fort Collins Rescue Mission, which is the Denver Rescue Mission. So there is a lot of people who want to see this be something that, yes, we understand this isn't the most exciting thing that people want to be experiencing homelessness. No one wants to be doing that, but it happens. And we as a community need to be supportive and hopefully provide a world-class building. But let's see here. It's going to be 250 beds. Yeah, I've already talked about everything that I would discuss, but so it is going to, there's going to be 3 years of overfill. There's currently like kind of 3 different locations, and some of the appellants were saying, why can't we use these 3 locations? And it's clear, this is actually going to have 49, it doesn't say it in here, like 40 to 49 or something like that, full-time employees, and like 35 parking spots. I mean, this is going to be a fully operational business that will be happening in North Fort Collins. So the appellant, all of their cases were voted down 6-0, essentially saying planning and zoning did uphold their end of the deal, and that this will in fact move forward. All right, let's jump into now. So you guys saw some of that. All right, I'm going to stop my share, and then I'm going to share a different screen. Now, changing gears, jumping into the City of Fort Collins budget, I wanted to go through kind of the areas of ongoing services, and then as well as what they call enhancements, and that is, let's see here. Come on. There we go. All right. So we are right here. That was their first reading. Second reading is going to be November 19th. We did pass this 6-0 with the 2 amendments that I will talk to you about shortly. Economic health. These are ongoing services that will continue on. Connections, downtown holiday lighting, where if you missed that it was 2 weeks ago. It's great. Get your butt downtown and just walk around. It's gorgeous. We were out there on Saturday night. Absolutely loved it. Downtown parks, Northern Colorado Regional Airport. I missed going to the grand opening this last Friday. It was cold. My wife said, I don't want to have the kids out there. So we did not go there, but I saw some of the pictures from the grand opening of the new terminal with 2 gates. Looked amazing. Here are some of the enhancements. A field sales representative for connections. I know one of the big things that they want is to get more and more commercial clients. So somebody getting out there and trying to get more business for Fort Collins Connections. Multicultural business and entrepreneurship. This was previously funded by ARPA. All of the ARPA funding is expiring, and so there were programs that needed to either be forgotten or taken on by our budget, which our budget is about $930 million per year. But when you take out some of the kind of the double counting, because like we're buying our own power and however it all works, essentially it's like about $650 to $700 million budget, but still a significant budget, $750 million. All right, neighborhood and community vitality, affordable housing, code enforcement, equity and inclusion, graffiti abatement program. When I was working for Old Town, and running Old Town Square, there were definitely times where there would be some small graffiti, and you would just call the city, and they would come and they would take care of it. I mean, relatively quickly. So it was definitely pretty awesome as far as that goes. Let's see here, Larimer County Humane Society services, and here are some of the enhancements. Rental housing program and other code compliance. So that is, I believe, the rental registration program, which is going to kick in full gear in 2025. Homeless core, and then let's see here, additional offers, eviction legal fund. I believe that's where they're going to have, we'll also show how much money is presented to each kind of additional enhancement down below. Environmental health, climate control, indoor, outdoor air quality. These are all ongoing services. Here are some enhancements, EPIC loan program. So that is, I believe, people who need financial aid and assistance. capital improvement project, community capital improvement project. That's a tax that is going to be up for renewal, I believe, next year or the year after. So that is keeping Fort Collins great, I think, is that kind of nickname. Accelerating our climate future. A lot, and remember, there was a 50-cent sales tax, and it's called the 2050 cent sales tax that's generating $20-some-odd million annually that will go towards a lot of environment. Safe community, 911 dispatch, cybersecurity, which was a big conversation, municipal court. Some of that is going to be your traffic and things of that nature that's offloads some of the other court systems. And here are the enhancements. Municipal court, judicial services, ranger staffing. So I believe another full-time employee. Police staffing. This was a pilot project, homeless outreach and proactive engagement, the HOPE team. But they're saying we are going to put this into our annual budget, which is now an enhancement. And then next budget cycle, if it wants to get voted in, would be an ongoing budget item. But that will be no longer a pilot project and will be full-time. Culture and recreation, art in public places, Fort Collins Museum of Discovery, Gardens on Spring Creek, golf, Lincoln Center. Lincoln Center brought in over 190,000 people last year in 2023. So, and we're going to talk here shortly about things to do this for season, and going to the Nutcracker is one of them, which I will be going to. Recreational programs, Epic, Mulberry Senior Center. And then here are some enhancements. I would say the biggest one is this Southeast Community Center. He believed that we would be breaking ground by the end of this budget cycle, which would be the end of 2026, which would be awesome, which would be potentially opening in 2027 for that. So that was a little bit of an insight that our CFO, Travis Storin, suggested. Universal preschool schooling, staffing, trail development, and transportation and mobility, transport, parking services, multimodal transportation, safe routes to school, bicycle infrastructure. This is our Keep Fort Collins great tax. Transport routes 11 and 12. Bringing those back online, bus fleet replacement, trying to electrify some of our bus fleet. Here are some of our additional readings. Our asphalt art programs, essentially street art. This was one of the potential things that could have got cut. And they're saying, and this was where I was joking a few weeks back saying, like, it's amazing that that's the type of city that we live in the sense of, all right, should we do 2 installations or 4 installations? And but that will be part of our budget. Bringing back Sunday and holiday service. Now this will be in 2026. So we still won't have Sunday and holiday service in 2025, but we will have it in 2026 at a cost of, I think, like $300,000 per year. So quite a bit. High performing government, FCTV, which is where I watch all of city council. And here's our city council members. Pat Yandi, Pignataro, Francis, Mayor Arndt, Susan Gutowski, Canonico, and Mr. Kelly Olson. Let's see here. Purchasing equipment. Here are some enhancements. Artificial intelligence, which is pretty interesting. But all right, now here is the actual finances. The golf facility assets. I don't really understand this because I do believe and know that golf is basically self-funding, but this looks like they're just putting into the golf fund reserves, maybe because they had to take them out for all the sprinklers that they had to do. Let's see here. HVAC technician. This was what I was talking about earlier about adding more employees to the city, an HVAC tech and a real estate full-time person. Replacing police services HVAC. Let's see here. Eviction fund. So there'll be $220,000 in the eviction fund. So if you're going through eviction, or if your tenant's going through eviction, you can send them to the city of Fort Collins to potentially get some financial aid to help not go through an eviction. This is, again, ARPA funded, but is no longer going to be ARPA funded. And this is ongoing. Ongoing costs versus one-time costs. Something to note there. Fleet vehicle equipment new replacements. I believe this is for the police department and high-performing government, and $1.8 million. Whew. Asphalt art, only $62,000. So again, we're talking about, it's not a little amount, but it's not a ton. Active modes, holiday service, yep, $300,000 annually starting in 2026. Security offers 4 full-time employees for the transit security offers. Oh, wait, maybe that was a removal of that. And they went from 7 to 4. Okay, yeah, that's what it was. So they're only going to have 3 full-time officers to 4. So they're saving $253,000 a year. All right. These are the 2 things that they added on as an amendment, saying that they want cybersecurity off-site, $250,000 annually to make sure that our cybersecurity for our city of Fort Collins is up where it needs to be. And then the Poudre flows design and permitting, essentially helping the Poudre River. It's one of our most important assets. So keeping that a strong resource for us. And then let's see here. We will jump into our utility rates, because I think one of the good things to see about that is how we compare to other communities and what does it mean on a monthly basis if you are in Fort Collins proper and have all 4 utilities: water, wastewater, stormwater, electric, I believe is what the 4 are. Whew, it is. All right, let me add it to the stage again. There was just some pages. Okay, so here is our utility rates, all going up about 6 to 7%. We buy it wholesale from the Platte River Power Authority, which we own a part of. That's kind of where we're buying it from Platte River Power Authority, but we own it. So we actually get like a benefit from the purchase of it, but we own it with 4 other communities. Okay, so here's what it would look like on a monthly basis. This year, your monthly average bill is $201. And next year it'll be $215, roughly, about a $13 monthly change. Now, here's how we stack up to other communities. Now, we don't have the cheapest, what do we not have the cheapest of? We don't have the cheapest wastewater. There's other communities. There's one, Colorado Springs. We don't have the cheapest stormwater, but overall, comparatively to Longmont, Loveland, Colorado Springs, Greeley, and Boulder, on a monthly basis, our utilities are actually not too bad. And for people who are having financial issues, low income, there are opportunities, and here are some of them. So those utility rates, both of those passed 6-0 on the first reading. And let's see here. Now let's jump into things that you can do this coming weekend. All righty. There is a fall dance concert put on by University for the Arts, CSU's dance performers. And I believe this is actually, we just had a client close last week, and she's been working on this for a long time. So go support my friend, Grace, who is putting on, she is a professor of CSU dance. And this is going to be November 15th for $15 at the University Center for the Arts, 1400 Remington Street. I believe that's the old Fort Collins High School building. The Poudre FFA Fall Carnival, November 16th. This week looks like there's going to be some pretty solid weather, so definitely can still get out there and enjoy it. But carnival rides and games designed for kids ages 3 to 10. Everything will be free, but the games will cost 2 tickets to play, and each ticket is 50 cents. So, and then finally, there is going to be a Mule Deer Foundation Border War Beer for Deer put on at Odell Brewing from 4 to 8 p.m. that is going to enjoy, raising money for a good cause, and then also be watching CSU versus Wyoming, which plays 6 p.m. on Friday night, and it is on TV, CBS Sports Network. I am not a big CU fan. I've never been a big CU fan. I've always been I've born and raised a CSU fan. But man, I've been watching CU football the last couple of years. I mean, Dion's got my attention, and they're 7-2. I think ranked like 18th in the nation. CSU's not doing too bad either. So we've got some decent football at our hands now. Final thing that we're going to go over today is 8 things to do this holiday season in Fort Collins, which is fun. So, and let me know, should I do a video, a pre-recorded video on these 8 things? And let's get going. November 27th, the Old Town Skating Rink opens. I am just not a fan of this skating rink. There used to be an actual skating rink, but I think they had to have a generator. It took a lot of electricity, but it was actual skating, and it was awesome. I'm not sure with the McQuinnies with them owning now the mall, if they're going to be opening that or not. But regardless, the Old Town Skating Rink, which is let's see here, it is a kind of a synthetic ice. It does work. You do use ice skates on there, but not my favorite. But let's see here. Santa Claus is coming to town on November 29th. So make sure to get out there and see Santa. The Big Blue Tree, which is kind of near CSU, sandwiched just south of Mulberry, before Laurel. But that will be lit on December 1st. Kicks off at 6 p.m. Now, here's what when I was reading this, I quickly signed up for it, but it is the Nutcracker at the Lincoln Center, December 4th through the 8th. Still plenty of tickets. So, definitely. And like for $43 to $58. Now you can get some VIP tickets for like $100, but $43 to $58. I think the only tickets that we had available were like the $58. And the Lincoln Center, just a world-class venue, honestly. Well, maybe not world-class, but top of the line. It's a phenomenal facility. I can't say anything bad about it. Garden of the Lights begins at Gardens of Spring Creek on December 5th. Tickets are $12 for adults and $8 for children. Carol Fest, you can go watch some people carol on December 6th at 6:30 p.m. Tuba Christmas and Santa on the Farm at Lee Martinez Park on December 14th, 2:30 to 4 p.m., 4 to 8 year. The event is for children 4 to 8 years old, and the cost is $16. There are so many different more events and things to do. So, and that's there's a lot of things at the Front Range Village, Midtown, at the mall. So, this is by no means all encompassing. There are tons of things to do, but let's see here. We got some comments and questions. Let's see here. Yes, there. I can link below. I'll come back and make a link to the Coloradoan article where they have links for all of these activities that you can go and get. Makes it real easy, but it looks like maybe there's some desire for activities in Fort Collins, Northern Colorado. We do have. Before I'm gonna let you guys go, we're gonna take a little bit of a risk. We're gonna do some kind of seasons and episodes on our pre-recorded video. And one of the seasons is going to be winter in Northern Colorado. And it's going to talk about snowshoeing, sledding, skiing, hiking, snowmobiling in Northern Colorado, where you can do it, what you can do, and kind of our experience. So hopefully that sounds fun for you guys to watch. We're excited to record it, but that is kind of where I will leave you. I appreciate you guys joining me on Veterans Day. Have a great, safe day. And until next time, everybody, take care.